Welcome back to this week's episode of the Tracy L Clark Show. I am so excited to have you guys join me today. As you know, I bring in people every once in a while, usually about once a month, that I really feel offer you value, and really especially during this incredible time of transformation. We are ending a whole old era, those last 50, 60, 70 years. They're going and we're stepping into the new. And this is why I'm so excited today to bring you our guest, Dr. JJ Kelly. We're going to have some fun with her today. And this is why I wrote it down, because I wanted to make sure I did this perfect introducing you. What she does, though, is she helps gifted children unlock their superpowers. And as avid listeners, you guys know I am all about that superpower that they have. She also released her book, which is Holy SSS. My kid is cutting me, can't say that word always. But what I love so much about her, and I want you to tune in, is so many of you write and ask, how can we help the children? How can we do things differently? What can we do? I had the pleasure of meeting her in January, and she literally just jumped out of the crowd. And what I love is her uniqueness, her unique approach. And for some people, it's different, but this is what we require now. This is what we need to really help the children get through to the next levels of their life. So you want to be here glued for the next hour, because you're in for a treat. Dr. JJ Kelly, I'm so thrilled to have you here.
Hi, I'm really excited too. Oh my gosh, this is so great.
You know what I love so much is that you have a real approach with these children. You know, when you and I got to talk, and you're done with that whole, I don't even know if this is, I'm just going to say like it is. Let's just sit down and let's just talk about how you feel. You know, it doesn't work. You know, it doesn't work. We have a lot of parents that literally say, and exactly, I love your book, because a lot of people say, why is my child harming themselves? What can I do? And what's happening? Like, what would you say? Because these parents they say, Tracy, it doesn't work. This old way isn't working. You are the cutting edge. You get it. You talk their language. You're funky and fun, but you're down on their level, and you treat them like humans.
Yeah.
Like humans. Can you elaborate on some of that? Because I know a lot of people, they ask, they're like, why are we not getting anywhere with our children?
I mean, I can talk a long time about this, but I think that the bottom line is the realness that you mentioned. Like, yeah, I often say that I'm not a flavor that everyone enjoys.
I love it.
That's perfectly fine. However, the ones that can deal with my no bullshit approach, they stay and we connect, and that's where the healing comes in. I think the reason the old paradigm doesn't work, 25 things I could name off the top of my head.
Huge.
But the listening, doctors don't listen. That's one. Two is, where's the love? Where's the love? There's so much talk about not loving them so that you can stay objective, but I think there has to be that mixture of the two. You know, I do dialectics, so everything is the Venn diagram. It's not black or white, it's gray. So let's learn how to manage our anxiety that comes with the unknown. Let's actually be open to being with each other, flaws and all. Mm-hmm. And that's why I don't stop cursing. I figure, whatever, I've opened the door. I'm the doctor. You know, people so much doctor worship. It shouldn't be like that. Plenty of doctors don't know what the hell that they're doing.
Oh, so, you're right. Yeah. Hey, you're in the right community for that. 100%. We're with you.
Listening, actually listening. You know, caring about what they care about. They care about music and their friends and their grades. They're stressed out, and to just dismiss that instead of validate. I mean, I validate them. That doesn't mean I agree with their bitching.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, I just meet them where they are, and then I'm like, okay, so what are we going to do about it? But you got to meet them where they are first for that connection to take place, so that we can have that love and respect, trust between us so that we can move forward. It doesn't work otherwise.
I love what you said about one. I talk about this all the time. I love you said this. We have to stop giving our power over to what people think is authoritative figures, like you said, with like
Yes.
doctors. We have to stop that because they go and then they give the power over and then and you and I had a conversation about this about okay, well then let's just take these medicines.
Yeah.
And they
I
go,
mean,
well the
"Oh, you're
doctor
anxious,
said.
take this." Oh, I mean, so many of my kids, and like when I say kids, I'm like
Yeah.
11 to 40 plus, you know?
Those are that's awesome. Yeah.
So, but they have come on multiple meds when we meet. And very few psychiatrists will work with me to get them off. Work with me, working with them. But all my docs that are in the mentorship program now, they're all off. They're all off
There.
everything.
Oh, amen. Amen. You know
Yeah.
what? That's an amen moment. It really is for parents listening because this is the biggest thing that I hear from parents is like, where can I find someone that can help my child and get them off the medicines? And what you said is so key. You got to meet them. I don't know if you find this a lot. I hear this a lot from parents. You would know better being in your space. So this is why we're asking you. It's like there's so many parents and doctors that want the kids at that age, especially kids, to be like they did it or be like who they were. But we didn't have social media like they do now. That's their world. That's their like, the way they consume their school,
Right.
what they do. You can't put them into how we
Totally.
did it.
And you can't do it the opposite of how you were raised either. Like,
Yeah.
oh, my parents were too strict, so I'm going to be super loose. That's that dichotomy again. It has to be that balanced middle of, a little bit how I know from my childhood, a little bit from what I am in earnest trying to learn about childhood now and being a teenager now. Can you
Oh,
imagine the pressure? And it
oh,
gets worse after college too. Nobody talks about how hard life is after undergrad. Oh,
yeah, they don't.
and
They
that
don't.
is such a stressful time. Their brains are still not developed, by the way. And if
What
they've
is
been
the
on,
full that their brain fully, like, what I know it's
they
developed longer,
say,
but
I mean, it's all a guess, but 25 is
I
pretty.
was gonna say, I know I heard before it was like 20 to 21, but it feels when I look energetically, it always feels like it's later than that. So 25 actually would be very, very true. So you're throwing these, no wonder they're so stressed. You're throwing them out in the world after whatever, if they're done high school and university or whatever they're doing in college. And okay, now what? Like
Right. And giving
I'm
them the
coddled.
message that, okay, now this is real life. You're an adult, no more dicking around in school, but also,
Yeah.
hey, you got no experience, so you're not worth anything
Oh
either.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what? Where are you supposed to go with that? There's like zero validation in that, and there's zero help. I mean,
Yeah.
giving all people these skills to regulate emotion, to assert themselves with others, to say no.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
my gosh. I'll ask people, and it's such a setup, but it's pretty transparent. I'm like, okay, so do you think that you're skilled in being able to say no? Oh, totally. So give me an example of how you say no. The word no is nowhere in the sentence, and they don't even notice. I'm like, where was the word no? It's a complete sentence, right? Well, they know, but it's too anxiety provoking to say and sit with, and nobody teaches you how to regulate and sit with that anxiety instead of just
Yeah.
act from it and make messes.
Well, I said the other day, it's so cool you said this. I said the other day to one of some of my community, I said, remember when you're two and the 2-year-olds are always no, 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 no. I'm like, you guys got to get back to being the 2-year
Right?
old where not caring, it's no and mine. Now, obviously not on that selfish, but it's like, no, that doesn't work for me. That is mine. I'm going to go after it. No,
Yeah.
that doesn't work for me. And I love your saying this because it's like that word became shamed and the kids don't even want to say it in school.
Yeah. Yep.
Like they're like, well, if I say that, my teacher gets mad at me, or I might get detention. I've heard kids say this. Do you
Yeah.
find that? Like,
Oh, sure. Absolutely. It's a sort of like, don't think that I have the right to say no because, I'm a young person or I'm a woman or I'm, trans or anything different. I'm
Yeah.
black, like all of those non minority ticks
Yeah.
can wear away someone's self-confidence because of the messaging that comes from society and because we don't teach people to let that roll by. I say
Yeah.
water off a duck's ass all the time.
Yeah.
You just
Yeah.
that's what mindfulness is.
I love it. I love it.
People say just let it go, but no one
Yeah.
teaches you how to let it go. What does that mean? How do I accomplish that?
This is why I love you so much. It's like when people say, "Oh, just be in love." I'm like, "What does that mean?" So I'm in the energy. I'm in this world. I have this like spiritual space. I debunk like you because it's like, "Oh, just love." What does that mean? Because my version of love all these years ago was treat me like crap, abuse me, click me. So that's love. Like I'm so tired of this, and I love you've said this. Just the let it go. So what would you say to to parents that are listening?
Mhm.
And I know they're going to be going, you got to hear this woman because you're amazing. What would you say to a parent that when you just said, okay, you got to let it go? What would be one of the little skills that you could start to say, this is how you have to start to communicate with your children?
Well, I think I'm going to plug validation to answer this question just
I
because I
love
think
it.
it's so important. I have actual dialogue in the book because that's how I roll. Um,
I love it. I love it.
about how your 15-year-old daughter comes to you and she's bitching about how they're friends one minute and then they're not
Oh
and
yeah.
then boom and it's nonsense and even they kind of know that it's nonsense, but what is not nonsense is the emotional stirring. It is important to them. It's about their relationships. That is very
Correct.
important at that age and all ages. So they get in the car and you've had, a day and they start bitching about it. And all you want to be like is, every other week you guys are friends or you're not. And don't do that. You can
I love
validate
it.
them without agreeing. You say, oh, that sucks. Oh, that sounds hard. Do you want to talk about it? And the urge is to be like, well, wait, you guys have been friends forever. You can't not be friends. Problem solving, problem solving. Problem solving cannot happen before validation. And that's why mental health right now does not work because
Oh,
the
I love
doctors
it.
want to be the ones with the answers, tell you what to do. You know in your heart what to do. So we bring it out. I bring my expertise on the field, the study of human behavior. You bring your expertise about you. We work together in collaboration. It's the only thing that heals.
Okay, did everybody just hear what she said? Because I am behind this a bazillion percent. Looking for the validation from a doctor or someone like that that is like, here's a pill, it'll calm it down, or exactly, oh, we'll fix the problem. I love this. You don't need to fix the problem. You need to just listen. And I want you to hear and if you have to come back and listen to this over and over, please do. Because as soon as you said that, you can see a lot of light bulbs are going to go on and people, because they're not, you can't fix the problem in mental health by shoving it under the rug. And all the kids are now, I every day you're hearing another child, my child's deemed this, they're termed this, they have this.
Yeah.
Can we stop labeling the children?
Please.
Like, what's your thought on that? I'm so tired of children that are so aware being labeled and then they're shamed.
No, no, we don't do this. I mean, we do it when there's in humor shaming together once there's a very established relationship. I might be like, well, that's kind of narcy behavior, and then we laugh about it. But I'm still talking about the behavior, which is an important distinction. I don't call people cutters. That's
Yeah,
gross. No,
no.
people, that's a behavior. By the way, depression is a diagnosis, not a feeling. Sadness is a feeling, and it's a
Amen.
normal one.
Amen.
Oh, I've been
Yeah.
feeling depressed today. No, you're not, because depression's not a feeling. You're feeling sad. You're feeling anxious to the point of overwhelm, which looks like depression because you won't get out of bed. difference. There's a difference.
Oh, thank you. I say you're the only other person. I have said this for so long. Okay. You're the only other person that I've heard say this. I said real depression is you can't get your butt out of bed. You cannot get out of bed. That's a real depression person.
Right.
Not the person when you tell me you're so depressed and you're going to the gym.
Right.
I'm so depressed.
Hiding
I'm so
out is
depressed.
different. That's an anxiety thing.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
And they're two
It's
sides to the same coin. I just think that the anxiety piece isn't addressed as much as the depression,
yeah.
probably because it's harder to treat. Uh, but that's the major emotion that we as human animals feel the most. So why wouldn't we want to get a handle on some skills of how to regulate fear, for Christ's sake?
Oh, yeah. Especially now. Okay, we're in this perfect time,
Yes.
just this is now everybody's been in this fear and hoarding. And
Yeah.
had they had some skills, like I have
Right.
no fear. I have no fear.
Same.
None. I'm like, okay, we'll roll through it. We'll move it. I'm not running out there like,
And it's
I'm
not because I'm
looking.
naive and I don't understand
No,
science.
exactly. No. And that's a different. And that's where people are like, do you not understand? I'm like, no. You
Right.
just kind of follow what you need to do. And things are going to work itself out.
Isn't it
And because
funny how you're calm and then they want to like dump information on you to change your mind into panic?
yeah, yeah.
That's not loving.
No,
You're
and that's
trying
what
to
happens with
self-validate.
kids. Yes, and it's like I call it sliming because I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yes.
I feel calm. I know whatever
Yeah.
like it's not like you said, it's not like you're sitting there going, these things don't exist. What you're
Right.
saying too is you're like, well, I have a choice how I'm gonna
That's right.
navigate through it
Choice.
based on how we've learned to grow and communicate. And this is what I love because you're doing this with the children. Like what you do needs to be in every school. Like
Hey,
we
that's what I wrote my dissertation on. Ages ago, a decade ago, I wrote my dissertation on that.
Yeah, because if you teach kids how to communicate, how to feel, how to listen,
Yes.
we would have way less bullying because we know why they bully and act out. Usually there's something at home, something
Yep.
going. They'd be able to communicate, feel. The teachers need to be educated. How do I talk to my kids? Not just
Totally.
learn your science and get out. You got an A, you got a B. Like I
Totally.
was a misfit kid. I get it. I was
Too.
bullied. I was so bullied. I was failing my school. I was told I was dumb. I was shamed. I was like, I get it. And so I'm like, if this what you took went into the schools, and I'm gonna just I'll pray behind that all day long that to get that awareness into the schools. Imagine no
It's
more bullying, no more
preventative medicine then.
yeah, and imagine what they come up to as young adults and people that are now, early adults, so through their 20s, late 20s, early
Yes.
30s, compassion, kindness, and go, oh, I
Totally.
could see how you're feeling that way.
Which are very natural ways to be when you like yourself. Last April, Angela had us write this statement about like what our mission is. I did like 10 of them on post-its, but what I ended up with was global healing is achieved when we teach people the skills to like themselves.
Amen. Yeah, so true.
That's what the gifted misfits are. And the same skills that I teach for learning to like yourself is those skill set, that's the same as getting through this crisis. It's the
Wow.
same on the personal, individual, local, global level. It's all the
Yes.
same. If you like yourself, you're going to behave differently. You're not going to shit on somebody when they're calm. There
Yes.
will not be children starving to death. There will be no racism, no isms,
Yes, I
because
love it.
happy people don't act like that.
Yeah, it's so true you said that. When we love ourselves, we look at everybody. It's like, how can we help you? Like,
Yeah.
how can I serve you? Oh,
Yes.
you require something. Like I always saying to people, just by opening a door, even in a day, like being kind and saying, wow, even something cute like love that stroller, or love that hat, or
Totally.
love
Yes.
those glasses. You always have the funky glasses, but by seeing and acknowledging people
Yeah.
and communicating, even starting there, and you are so correct. The more that we learn to love and communicate with ourselves.
Yes.
And this is the key for children. Like
Yeah.
it's like we've just what I see up here in Canada, I know you're in the States, what I see, and you can tell me if it's similar, that it's like they just shove them in classrooms and they want a curriculum to be done. And
Yeah.
the teachers are screaming, they have high classrooms and their kids are going crazy.
Yep.
Is it similar? You could
Yeah.
see the
Oh,
same thing.
absolutely. In the public school, yeah. And private schools are, some of them gotten it better, but they're very, very expensive because they're not subsidized by the
Yeah, a
government.
lot of people can't afford them. And up here too, a lot of people can't afford them. So there's more public schools. I find, what do you find is working with so many, and especially children? I know you have a huge demographic of people,
Well, it's really
but
teens and 20s is my
yeah,
specialty.
I love that. Yeah. And I call them children like you,
I
like
call them
teens.
kids, yeah,
Yeah, my kids are in their 20s, like they're 25 and
totally.
22. So I'm like, those are kids. Every those are my kids. What do you find though? I would like to know with the high school age, what do you find to be the biggest, maybe the biggest common factor that's a challenge for them?
Here in the Bay
Yeah,
Area, it's academic pressure.
it is. It is here too.
Yeah, getting into the schools.
So how do you work through that with them? Because we know the systems are going to change. We know the school systems are going to change. You and I know that. It's going to
Yeah,
take a while though for it to happen, but it will change. But so these kids are literally so stressed out over these grades. What do you say to them? Because you can't just say, "Oh, get through it." Like
oh my god,
they're
no, how invalidating is that?
well,
No, no,
hey,
no.
I went back to school and finishing my non-denominational ministry. If someone said that to me, I'm busy and I'm like, oh my God, I got all this homework to do. I'm like, I know what it's like now to be one of these kids again because I've been out of the system for a long time, right? I'm
Totally,
almost 50 years old. Like I've been out. So
totally.
it's like, and I look at these kids with the pressure of social media, the homework. It's like they don't
Oh,
care that
homework.
yeah, it's like they think they only have one class. So these children are what can we help? How do we help them with that? Because I don't think parents know how other than just get through it. That's all I hear.
Well, again, I have a whole section about grades
Oh, they'll be reading your book.
in
Trust
in the
me.
book.
They're going to be reading your book.
I mean, I'm not trying to plug the book, I'm just
No,
saying
we
the
want to
shit
plug
is
the book. They
there.
need help.
It's
Yeah.
but what I do, I want parents to take a realistic assessment of where their kids' skill set, I mean, what are their grades? What are their natural talents for that? I mean,
Yeah.
and parents often are not a objective judge of that. Well, then go get testing. Go get
Yeah.
some actual testing from some outside source to evaluate what their capabilities are, because you might want them to be higher than they are. Or you don't have to get straight A's. I say straight B's. And even for the straight A students, that brings the bar down a little bit where the anxiety comes down and then they can achieve. Do your best. I say, of course, do your best. We are going to have a conversation if you get less than straight B's, but
Yeah.
B's are above average. And if their capability is A's, which a lot of my kids it is, bringing that bar down isn't telling them to be an underachiever. It is reducing the stress to a level that is not overwhelmed then. Now they can think because they're not fried. Their executive functioning isn't down because they're overwhelmed. Overwhelm causes paralysis, and then we call them lazy. That's not
Oh,
lazy.
I love this. Okay, I know we have to run to a quick break.
Okay.
Okay, I want them to. They got to go get the book. Holy SS, my kid is cutting. You know the word there, but I know they can get it. Just give them. Can you just your website because I know a lot of people
Oh,
are going to want
sure.
to go get
It's
the
just
book.
drjjkelly.com.
I love it. And can they get the book there or is it on Amazon too?
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure there's a link for a free one on there.
Okay. Well, I've seen it on your website. So okay, we're going to take a quick break, guys. You want to come back because I want to pick this up around this overwhelm and really adjusting this bar. So we'll be right back after the break. Welcome back. You know what? Our incredible guest, Dr. JJ Kelly, I'm so excited she can join us. If you caught the first half, if you're just catching the second, you need to go back and listen to the first half as soon as this gets uploaded on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever those 90 outlets are that you're listening to this. You know what? Before we went to the break, we were talking about this overwhelm. And I love what you said about bringing the bar down. And what that also triggered is do you also see with a lot of the kids, not only the overwhelm, obviously with the grades, that's the big thing, but also the pressure. You know how social media gets more addictive for these kids,
Oh,
and
oh yeah.
yeah, and that competitive factor now, like school seems more competitive, not just grades, like you were saying with universities and stuff, but it's like it seems like the competition in school is higher, creating more overwhelm for kids. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I think again, I think it's fear based. And when you were talking about adolescence, where is the fear? It's insecurity. Am I cool enough? I'm not athletic enough,
Do I
whatever it
fit
is.
in?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, do I fit in? Which
Do I fit
why are
in?
we trying? That is not
Exactly. And why
true.
do we want to? We get older like us and we're like, oh my God, why was
Right.
I trying to fit in?
Totally. That's why we're embracing the word misfits. I do the air quotes,
Yeah.
but we embrace that word.
I love it. Yeah. I
So
always say I'd rather be I'm called weird all the time. I said, well, I'll be weird all day long because I don't want to be like you.
totally, freak is a good thing. Normal, not.
You got it. I agree.
So they have fear about not being good enough. I mean, that's pretty much the catch-all. So what do
Right.
people do when they aren't taught the skills to regulate anxiety, which is everybody? They project that anxiety out in the form of some kind of criticism, usually. And this is not specific to high schoolers by any means.
No, this is everybody in the world.
Right. So
Everybody in the world.
project it out in the form of criticism. And
Yeah.
that's what this is. Now look at the platforms they have for projecting criticism. And because there's that distance, they say shit that they would never say to someone's face. They would
Oh,
not have,
100%.
and sometimes they don't have the courage to even say healthy confrontational things to each other, which is definitely something I teach as well. That assertiveness. Like it takes courage to be face to face with someone and say, I know you want me to do that, and I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
Doesn't
And
match
look at
my
your
values.
statement. So easy. That's an easy statement.
It's
It's an
an
easy
easy
statement.
concept.
Yeah.
And then once you have regulating anxiety in your skill set, yeah, it gets easier with
Yeah.
practice.
Yeah.
But that all starts with defining what your values are in order to know how to behave according to them and not giving yourself permission to engage in behaviors that are off, that violate your set of values, and then they cause shame. And the more shame there is, the more of this projection and barfing your stuff on other
Yeah.
people. You call slime, I call barf.
It's the same thing,
Yeah,
right? You're getting yeah, barfing,
yeah.
slimy. It's
You're
the
getting
same.
your on me.
Yeah, you're like, "Get that off of me. That
Yeah,
doesn't feel good." And then when you're barfing on someone like that or sliming them, then more anxiety comes in, more
totally.
frustration comes in.
Totally. Because shame causes more anxiety, and then anxiety causes behaviors that are shameful.
I wanna ask you about, so the whole term mental illness has been thrown around so much, like so
Barf.
much. Exactly, like so much. Um, and it's become I find it's become more of a, I don't know, just like the flavor word of the day or something,
Kind of
which
trendy,
yeah, and
while still not effective.
exactly.
It's
And
not
and
truthful still.
it's not. And when we look at kids that have really gone down where they've had a lot of shame and they've had a lot of insecurity and they have a lot of things going, don't you find like there are trigger points that people just miss that have also happened to them, like even little trauma, like
Trauma?
when
Hell
someone's
yes.
barfing on you all the time, that's trauma. When somebody's
Absolutely.
like their words, like you remember in the old days when we were little kids, they run around singing on we'd sing on the thing, sticks and stone don't break my bones, but words will never hurt me. I'm like, okay, that's the complete opposite. Words hurt
Totally,
me, I can heal my bone, but those words, they're gonna be with me for 50 years.
totally, totally. I have said forever, I will take a beating over a mind F any.
Yeah, yeah.
Psychological abuse is so damaging. I'm not saying physical abuse isn't. I'm just
No,
saying
but it's
more
worse.
straightforward. You know who the bad guy is.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
someone's messing with your head or your emotions, you wonder
Yeah,
if it's you.
yeah,
But if you
yeah.
know what your values are, then you know who you are and you behave according to those. Then you can know when it's theirs and it's not yours and not take it on.
a lot of times you find with kids too, like literally the reason the parents have to learn this is why I want them to get your book. And they have to. This is not a should I'm saying you guys have to learn this. And I know I don't say that too often, but because that communication will help your child from spiraling further and further where they then do start cutting or wanting to do
Right.
drugs or don't do you find that? Is that like that right path there?
Do I find what
That the
specifically?
parents need to really understand this
Oh,
communication.
yeah. I
They
mean,
have to because they'll miss these triggers that are going on with their
totally.
children with trauma. If it's emotional trauma at school or not fitting in or bullying, or maybe there's trauma at home. A lot of times there's trauma at home. And if the parent, if they could catch it and understand what you're saying, this is why it'd be lovely to have you in every school. Maybe we have to broadcast you on those big screens everywhere, is that the parents could catch this earlier and
Yeah.
help their children.
Yep.
Do you find that if
Yes,
versus the
absolutely.
kids that
That's
are
why I
getting
wrote a
really lost?
parenting manual first. I mean, I've got 4 more books in my head now. I work with
Where's
teens.
your parenting manual?
That's this book. That's the one
That's
very
the
book.
one? Okay,
That
so
is
guys,
a
that's why
parenting
you need
manual.
this book.
The
Okay.
Complete Plan to Stop Self-Harm. Like, that is for the
Yeah,
parents. The Gifted
yeah.
Misfits that I'll write next, that's for the young people to
Oh,
validate where they're coming from. But that's why I started with a parenting manual. I don't work with the parents.
yeah.
I'm almost, I mean, anymore. I was about to say anymore, but I never really worked intensively with the parents. I stayed with the teens and the young adults. So I got the skinny on everything that they're telling me that they're not telling the parents. So I wanted to start with a parenting manual because I just thought it was so necessary.
Oh,
That's
that's what
why
I
I
love
started
about
with that.
that. That's why it's you know what? It is, and I'm so happy to hear you say so people that you're listening, this is why this is so important for you to read and follow Dr. JJ Kelly here because she's got her finger on this, and I'm very careful when I bring people on, and what I love is it's time for us to rise and help our kids. It's time to get rid of the labels, and you're doing that, and I know that you're kind of been crusading this as a on your own,
Yes.
and this is why as our community I'm so excited to be able to say guys more, and as we've been growing around the world, say guys, like, come on, because we have to help you rise too, because that's how children are going to get really healthy and love themselves, which are better humans, better adults, better husbands, better wives, better
Yes.
partners, better, lovers, whatever you want to call them, but
Leaders, business
better
owners,
relationships.
UN ambassadors. Yes.
Yeah, around the world, around the world. And I
Yes.
know I know it can be hard. You're pioneering something where also I know you also are rejected by those mainstreams. They're
Oh,
threatened
big
by
time,
you
big time.
because you get results.
Yeah, yeah,
Let's threaten the person that gets results.
it threatens the status quo big time. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And this is
and
why I love what you're doing because again, like overwhelm with children, I don't I think it's going to get a little worse before it gets better.
it usually does. Yeah.
Yeah.
In a
Yeah.
healing crisis, it gets
Yeah,
worse
like we are
before.
right now.
Yeah. I
Yeah. I was looking at this crisis and I wonder what your thought is on this about okay, everybody's supposed to be in close quarters, right?
Right.
For a couple weeks. Hmm. Well, if we're on course close quarters for 2, 3, 4 weeks, maybe 2 weeks, we hope, and out, right? But if you're in these environments, this should be your time to have these skills to be able to communicate with your child and see what's happening, not shove everybody in a room. And like it's a blessing in a way. And this is
In a
what
way.
I really wish everybody had all the parents had your book, they could stop, read, and say, how can I communicate with my child? Because it's a little bit of a breather as well, but there's kids and parents stuck with I'm sure there's gonna be some explosions there too.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Oh, there's going to be conflict for sure. There's
Yeah.
conflict with the individuals having to be on their own, like be alone and quiet with their demons not worked out. I mean,
Yeah.
nobody knows how to regulate fear. So then you put somebody alone quietly, then all that fear comes up. They have no skills because where would they have learned them for
Nowhere.
regulating fear? So what happens? Yeah, where people are having meltdowns.
It's gonna be interesting. I always say, right, and you know this, you have fear, you have love. Everything else is just compiled on top of that for fear. Like, what's that root of the fear? And it's gonna, I would say it's gonna be interesting because you're right, that space of putting people in small quarters. I kind of laughed. I said, we'll probably see a lot of divorces too. I don't know if I want to be with you anymore. But with our children, it's very different, right? Like it's very different because we do love them, but giving them these skills during this time, especially for the next 6 months and 8 months when they decide school's coming back. And maybe for parents listening, maybe this is a time that, they can really sit with them before everything's in full swing and say, what can we do here that's a little bit different? How are you feeling? And like you said, really listen.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about going back to school? How are you feeling about maybe your friends? How does that make you feel?
Yeah.
And do you think that's a good place? Like, what can we help our parents with that are just listening to this? They haven't got your book yet, and they're like stuck still in these places with their
Oh
children.
my gosh. I mean, breathe. It
Yeah,
isn't it
yeah.
isn't it interesting that this is a respiratory
I know.
thing?
Breathing in life. Yeah.
You
New
know,
breathe.
like,
Slow down. Yeah.
and Chinese medicine talks about the lungs being about grieving. I mean, I
Hmm.
just think it's
They
all
are.
really interesting. So I do think everybody says breathe, but who does it? 3 deep
I do.
breaths. So do I. And so do the kids that I teach. All the
But
doctors.
you and I all understand that. I love this breathing. Yeah, it's
Um,
true.
3 deep abdominal breaths will calm down the central nervous
Central
system.
nerve. Yeah.
So that, by the way, stress breaks down your immune system.
100%. I just posted that last week, and because I work so much in body, right? Having to repair my own body.
Right.
And I said to people, your stress will do more to attract these viruses to you than if
Right.
you're calm.
Right.
They
And it
won't come.
exacerbates any existing conditions as well.
100%.
So even if you're faking calm,
Yeah.
do that. Because faking calm often leads to real calm. I don't say that about much because I'm so big into validation.
100%.
But with fear, specifically panic, you do know somewhere in your heart, this too shall pass. So breathe and tap into that a little bit every day, or a lot of bit every day, all day, like
All day.
anytime you think of it, take 3 deep breaths in
Yeah.
for as long, at least 6.
Yeah, at
Do
least.
10 if you can. Do
Yeah.
15 if you can. Do
Yeah.
20 out. I mean, if I didn't meditate, I'd already be insane because everyone's dumping their stuff.
Oh, I hear you. You hear it all day long, right? I get it in different ways, and you do hear it all day long, and you're working with people with different health issues and stuff like that. And it's so true. And people, I'm sure you get it. They're like, "Why are you so calm all the time? What is something?" I'm like, "Well, that's not mine. I'm just there to do something. It's off it goes, and I'm done. I unplug." But you're right. If you didn't know how to do those breathing and the center of yourself, your self care, which is loving yourself,
Totally.
it
Totally.
and having boundaries where you say, "No, I'm sorry, I'm not able to do that for you." I say that a lot. I'm like, "Well,
Right.
I could do that at this time, but I'm not able to do that right now."
I don't have that glorification of busy thing. I think
No,
that
me
keeps
either.
me free
Yeah.
to.
Did you used to? Because I used to. I thought that defined me like 20 years ago. Oh, I thought that was the cool thing. And if people are listening, and then I realized that is not so cool. I love the fact that I can do what I need to do, spend some time with the people I love, and go
Yeah,
for a walk.
yeah,
Yeah.
totally. And you
Yeah.
can still walk, by the way. I mean, my hip hop just got shut down. So I was like,
Oh.
oh boy. And the class after I thanked him, I was like, thank you so much for still being open. Then boom, it's done. So now it's walking. Nobody hates walking. Even when we're not in a crisis like this, I'm always like, 20 minutes of walking is an anti-anxiety and an antidepressant.
You know, it's funny you say I love walking, and I have to tell you, since we've been all closed up, I've seen more people and their dogs than ever before now.
Totally,
It was really
totally.
quiet for a while, but since we
Yeah.
went into emergency state, now they're like everywhere. I'm like, oh,
Yes.
there's people
It's so
everywhere.
yeah, it's the same here. And whole families, which I love.
Yeah.
Parents and the kid, taking a walk in the evening. I saw my neighbors twice take a walk. That is so lovely.
I
Yes,
think that's a
walk.
blessing right now is that you can spend time with your family, the people you care about, and you can reconnect and maybe watch a good funny show you haven't seen in a while, play a board game, play a puzzle, go for a walk. And this is what I love. I really believe that this is a good time for the kids. They can take a breather. They don't have to panic about homework. There's no homework to do. You
I
just said
agree.
no homework to do. Like,
I do want to point out that we have the kind of privilege that we can do that. There are
yeah,
people that are paycheck to paycheck that don't
I
have
know.
access to things. I just feel the need to mention that. I live in Oakland. Like, this is not everybody can shrug it off, and so we
Yeah.
need to reach out to those
We
people.
need to rise to those people. And I'm so glad you say that because I've been saying it's like I love in our community. We've seen a lot of people say, you know, if you need some pet food, if you need some food for your kids, and if you need some breakfast because they're in a breakfast program and you don't have it. And I love seeing this. And this is what we have to talk also more about. It takes the stress off families, it takes the anxiety off, lowers your kids down. And it doesn't,
Giving? Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
just see what they require
Yes.
and not stop when this lifts because it's going to lift and we're going to carry on and things will change. Don't stop.
That's right.
Make this that mission of saying, wow, I see that little person there needs something, well, go help them,
Right.
help the family.
Generosity. It's only a matter of time before the science is there that backs how generosity
Oh,
is
it's huge.
good for the brain and the
Yeah,
CNS. There's already some data out there that talks about how gratitude is a
yeah,
natural anti-anxiety.
it is. Yeah,
So let's give, let's
yeah,
receive with gratitude. Let's use
amen.
all the things that
Yeah.
calm us down.
And it will calm everyone down because I know there are some great, Dr. Bruce Lipton, Greg Braden, they've come up with some great stuff around that science base, and I do love it for people who need that. But I see it so much, like you said, when people say, "Wow, I just went and did that, and I felt amazing." I call it anonymous giving a lot. I said, do a lot of anonymous, drop some stuff off somebody's doorstep, or pay for somebody's meal, and
Yeah.
they always come back saying, "I tried that, and I just walked away and I felt like this high, like I was feeling so good." And that's what you're saying. And if we can do more of that, it also calms the kids down. Like, let me help you with your homework. Or, I had a little boy. I want to share this story. So lovely. He's just a nine, I think now. He's just a lovely kid. And he was on the playground and he was saw this little girl being bullied. And he said, "You can't talk to her that way." And he's a little black boy, so he got called a really bad name. He said, and he's been learning with his mom, and he said, "You can't talk to me that way either."
That's
And he
right.
stood up for the little girl and he stood up for himself. And they went in, and the other little boy they had to deal with. And he always calls me Auntie Tracy. So, Auntie Tracy, guess what I did? And I was like, I am so proud of you because before he would have lashed out,
Mm,
but he stood in his power and said, because
wow.
he's learning, he stood in his power and said, "You can't do
Young.
that." Yeah.
It can be taught young.
And
It
if we
can be
teach them
normal.
young, yeah. But if you learned the poor things that they've done to this little boy in school, right? And having to change it. And this is what I love about what you're teaching. And I really want the parents to really listen and understand because you are cutting edge. And what I believe, and this I want to say this to you because I just love what you're doing. I just believe you were early to the party, but you're going to lead the party.
Thanks for saying that. I appreciate that. I'm born to.
You are.
So this is it. I
You are.
mean, service to humanity is what it's
Yeah.
all about, and I've known that a very long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, it's why I just love you so much because we're in the same path there, and to see these children move and shift. And I know for a lot of our communities listening, this is one of the reasons I also want you to pay attention today because I mean it when I say we've been creating this initiative fund and we want to do something that's free for all the children and be able to have it funded. And when I met you, I was like, oh my God, she would be amazing to be able to help educate these kids and find a platform. And we've been working at growing these funds to create a platform where we can push more of what you are doing out there, because parents need to understand, and you have the fun. But I love what you also do. You have fun with your children that you work with.
I was just thinking that exact thing. You plucked it right from
Yeah.
my mind. That's part of it too, to be real
Yeah.
with people. You know, it's levity without being invalidating.
Yeah.
And fun is laughter is uplifting. Laughter, as it turns out, is great for calming down the central nervous system
Oh,
too.
yeah. Laughter and play. Yeah.
Right. Playing, not taking yourself too seriously. You know, the ego strength that it takes to laugh at yourself sometimes. That is a solid person that can do that. And I do it constantly in front of them as a, I'm going to model for you how to be
Yeah.
imperfect and love yourself anyway.
Yeah, I love that. And if more parents could learn to laugh at themselves, I can't believe we're already top of the hour. It's actually we're at the top of the hour. What would you like to leave for parents? I know we're going to bring you back on because I know there's so much more that we can discuss, and I really want the universe, the world, more of you out there because it's your time and any way we can help that. But what would you like to leave for kids or parents? I know a lot of kids listen to these shows, believe it or not, their parents have told me. So I'm always
Cool.
surprised.
That's cool. Yeah, that's cool.
They
I
come with their parents.
Well, I have seen transformation in 8 weeks
Oh,
from kids that have gone to therapy for years before we met. And it doesn't have to be me. Find someone real to work with, because real change can happen very fast when you're inspired and you think you're seen. When you feel understood and seen and heard, that is a natural motivator. I don't cure people. I open the door for them and I'm like, hey, it's sparkly in here. You want to come see what your true self is capable of? Because I can already see it. You want to do this? Should we dance our way right into your authentic self? Because I bet it's going to be rad.
You couldn't have left this on a higher note. This is exactly true. I love this. Guys, open the door. You got to check out Dr. JJ Kelly. Open the door. drjjkelly.com, right? We're on
Yep,
the right
got it.
place. Get the book. I want to say thank you. I'm so glad you took this hour to be with us. And will
I'm
you come back?
so grateful to you too. Thank you so much.
So I want you to come back. We are going to do this
Done.
again. And we've got to keep helping these children. And I
Yes.
know I'll be talking to you real soon. So thank you. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Please catch the replay, share it with your friends. I know it's on all these 90 outlets. So whatever one you love, I know iTunes and Spotify seem to be the most, iHeartRadio popular. Share it with your friends, especially if they have trouble with their children or they have a frustration going on. And reach out, because you got someone right here and she can help you get through that and navigate it, and you couldn't be in better hands. So thank you again and have an incredible week, everyone, and I'll see you next week right here at 11 a.m. on the Tracy L Clark Show.